Hi, and welcome to Math Plus Everything Journey. Today we are going to solve absolute value expression. So before we start solving these problems, there's a couple things that we need to know. First, the absolute value, these vertical lines, those are the absolute value notation. The other thing that we need to know is that we need to isolate the absolute value. How do we do that? The number that's inside the absolute value, we need to take it out. When we take it out, it's supposed to be able to solve for a positive value and a negative value. Okay, so let's start the first one, see what we're talking about. So in this, we have the absolute value of a plus 10, which is equal to 34. How are we going to do this? We're going to solve for a positive value and a negative value. So we're going to set up this equation two ways. We're going to take this out, this positive, and also remember your absolute value is always positive or 0. So we have the absolute value of a plus 10 is equal to positive 34, and we're also going to solve when the absolute value is a plus 10 is equal to negative 34. Supposed to have two possible answers. So with all the equations, if you know how to solve the equation, you know we have a positive 10, and once we go over the equal sign, it becomes a negative, right? So now we're going to do the inverse, or you could say the opposite. So here we go. We have a plus 10. We're going to minus 10 from both sides. When we minus 10 from both sides, we're left with a positive 10 and negative 10. That's canceled out. That's a 0. When you minus and you add the same number, the result is a 0. Next, we have 34 minus 10. We got equal to 24. So we have our a value when the absolute value is positive. Let's look when it's negative, what happened. So now we have our a. We have a positive 10, so we're going to minus 10. We're going to minus 10 from both sides. So now we have our a, the positive 10 and the negative 10, they cancels out, leave 0. We have a negative 34 and a negative 10. When you add two negative numbers, we keep the sign and we add the digits. So 34 plus 10 is 44. So those are your a values for the absolute value. And we could go ahead and check. Let's do a check. So when our a is 24, we got a plus 10, which is equal to 34. We know our a value is 24, so we're going to substitute 24 plus 10, and that's going to equal to 34. 24 plus 10, that's 34, is equal to 34. That checks out. Now let's go ahead and check the other side. We have a plus 10 is equal to negative 34. We said our a value is negative 44. So we have our a value, and that's minus negative 44 plus 10 must be equal to negative 34. So we have a minus 44 and plus a 10. And some students always get confused here. I always said, okay, just treat this as a minus. This is negative 44. But in a way for the students to understand, I said, treat this as a minus, right? So we have a negative 44 plus a 10. That's going to give me a negative 34. And that's going to equal negative 34. So my absolute value for the first one does check out. So now we have a little different. So here we have in the absolute value, we have an x minus 29. Here it was a plus 10. So let's go ahead and then let's do this one. So I'm going to isolate my absolute value. So I'm going to take the x, and minus 29 is equal to 49. I'm going to do, because I have to have two possible answers, so I'm going to rewrite that as x minus 29 is equal to 49. Remember, when you're solving an absolute value, you must have two equations. One must be a positive and one must be a negative. Oops, I leave my negative out. Equal, and that's a negative. If you cannot see, I'm just going to draw a line through here and rewrite it. X minus 29 is equal to minus 49. Okay, so let's solve this one. We got x plus 29 is equal to 49. We're going to add 29 to both sides. So after the equation, we're going to add 29 to both sides of the equation. We have our x value. We're going to bring it down. And you have a negative 29 and a positive 29. That's going to cancel out and be 0. And that's going to be equal to 49 plus 29 is 78. 9 plus 9 is 18. 4 plus 2 is 6. And 1 is 7. Right? So that's positive 78. Let's go over here to the negative. So we have x minus 29 is equal to negative 49. So we have a negative 29 here, and we're going to isolate the x by itself. So therefore, we're going to add 29 to both sides. Here I want my x, so my x and negative 29 and a positive 29, they cancels out. This is 0, and that's going to be equal to negative 49 plus 29 is going to give me a negative 20. If you don't know how to do the integers, I will do a video on integers for your negative and your positive, so you'll have an understanding. So here goes. We could also go ahead and check. Let's do a check. So our output was x minus 29 equal to 49. We said our x value is 78. So our x value is 78. We're going to substitute 78 for x. Minus 29 is equal to 49. When we take 78 from 20, when we take 29 from 78, we are left with 49. So 49 is equal to 49, and that checks out. On the other side, let's check if this is true. We started out with x minus 29 is equal to negative 49. We said our x value was negative 20. So we're going to substitute negative 20 for our x value, and then we're going to bring down negative 29 is equal to negative 49. When we add these together, again, we're adding two negative numbers. When you add two negative numbers, you keep your sign and then you add your digits. 20 plus 29 is 49, and that's going to be equal to negative 49, and it also checks out. So there, guys, you have the absolute value. Some things to remember is like your absolute value. The vertical lines are your absolute value notation. When it's inside the absolute value, we're going to isolate the absolute value. When we are solving it, we must have a positive and a negative value. Don't forget to check your work, because when you check your work, you never go wrong. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends about these videos. And thank you once more. I appreciate the support. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.